Let's dive into a powerful reflection on the idea that people often don't realize what they have until they lose it. Have you ever noticed how easily we take things or even people for granted? In our fast-paced world, it's common to treat relationships, time, and opportunities as if they'll always be there. But what happens when they're gone? When we no longer have access to something or someone we once overlooked? Suddenly, the value we missed becomes strikingly clear, and often, it's only after the loss that people truly begin to chase what they once had. This phenomenon can be deeply understood through the lens of Stoic wisdom, which is all about appreciating what we have, embracing inner strength, and letting go of external attachments. Let's look at 5 core ideas around why people chase after what they lose, and how Stoicism helps us find strength in that dynamic. Part 1. Value becomes clear in absence. Think about this. Why is it that absence seems to bring value into sharp focus? Why do we not recognize what we have until it's gone? In today's world, we're surrounded by abundance and distractions, making it easy to overlook what's right in front of us. We assume the people we love will always be around, or that good friendships and strong family connections will stay as they are. But when they're suddenly absent, we're forced to confront the gap left behind. It's like the old saying, you don't know what you've got until it's gone. The Stoics knew this. Marcus Aurelius wrote about how everything in life is temporary, and that our minds often deceive us into assuming permanence where none exists. He suggested that to truly appreciate something, we should remember that it won't be with us forever. This simple shift in thinking can open our eyes to the value of what we already have, urging us to cherish it while it's still there. So imagine if we started to see our relationships and opportunities with the understanding that they're not guaranteed. Would we show more appreciation? Would we invest more time, effort, and care? Stoicism tells us, absolutely yes. Part 2. Attachment versus indifference. Now, here's another thought-provoking idea. Do people value you more when they feel they can't fully have you? Have you noticed that in relationships, when one person becomes too attached or too available, the other often feels less inclined to reciprocate that intensity? It's human nature to overlook what we feel we have complete control over. Stoicism advises us to practice a certain indifference. This doesn't mean apathy or coldness, but rather a calm detachment from the need for others to validate us. Epictetus taught that we should be self-sufficient and at peace within ourselves, rather than seeking constant approval from the outside world. So, how does this apply to today's world? In an age of social media, we see people constantly seeking validation, whether it's through likes, followers, or other metrics that create a need for external approval. But if we shift our mindset to focus on inner fulfillment, we'll find that we become more attractive to others because we're no longer seen as needy. Instead, we become intriguing, even mysterious. And ironically, people often start chasing us once they feel they can't completely possess us. The moment you stop needing their attention, they're more likely to give it to you. Part 3. True strength lies in non-neediness. Here's something we all should consider. What if the real strength lies in not needing anything from others? Think about it. How often do we make ourselves dependent on others for happiness, for a sense of worth, or even for our identity? If we rely on others to feel fulfilled, we become vulnerable to disappointment and emotional pain when things go wrong. Epictetus had a powerful teaching on this. He believed that self-reliance and inner strength are the highest forms of freedom. When you need nothing from others, you become resilient. Imagine if you walked through life knowing that your happiness isn't tied to anyone's approval or presence. How would that change your relationships? How would it change how people treat you? People are naturally drawn to those who seem complete within themselves, who aren't desperately seeking outside validation. When they realize you're not dependent on them for happiness, it actually intrigues them. They sense that you are whole on your own, and it's this strength that makes them want to be around you even more. Part 4. Freedom from validation. In our digital age, where likes, shares, and views seem to determine our worth, freedom from validation may feel almost radical. Yet, Stoicism teaches that real contentment is found in letting go of the need for others to approve of us. This doesn't mean we shut ourselves off from the world. Rather, we stop measuring our self-worth based on others' opinions. When people realize that you don't rely on their approval, it shifts the dynamic entirely. They see someone who is secure, unshaken by external praise or criticism. Imagine meeting someone who doesn't constantly seek validation. Don't you feel a certain respect for them? They're not emotionally swayed by fleeting judgments. They're centered, focused, and content in their own values. The modern world might push us to seek constant reassurance, but by freeing ourselves from that need, we actually create space for others to respect and even chase us, recognizing that we're driven by our own inner compass, not the shifting tides of external validation. Part 5. People desire what they cannot control. Finally, let's consider a fascinating observation. Why do people tend to want what they can't control? It's human psychology to desire what seems just out of reach. When we feel we have control over someone or something, we tend to lose interest. But the moment it's taken away, our minds are captivated. Stoicism teaches that we shouldn't strive to control others, nor should we allow ourselves to be controlled. This philosophy of autonomy is incredibly powerful. When others realize that you're independent and self-reliant, they begin to recognize that you're not easily swayed or influenced. This unpredictability makes you more appealing, more intriguing. In today's context, where so much of our lives are about instant access and instant gratification, this sense of autonomy can be rare and alluring. People might even chase after you because they see you as someone who isn't easily controlled or influenced, a quality that's both admirable and compelling. So, what can we take from all of this? We live in a world where we're conditioned to seek approval, to chase after what we think we need from others. But Stoicism offers a different path. It teaches us to find our strength within, to let go of attachments, and to appreciate what we have before it's gone. When we live by these principles, we find that we naturally draw others to us, not by need or force, but by embodying qualities that are rare in our world. People will chase after what they once took for granted, but by that time, we will have found a kind of fulfillment that no one else can give or take away. So let's walk through life with the wisdom to cherish what we have, the strength to need nothing from others, and the freedom to live fully independent of external validation. And if along the way, others realize what they lost when they let us go, we'll be at peace, grounded in our own self-worth. Continuing from where we left off, let's explore more on why people only start to chase after they've lost someone or something they took for granted. In the first part, we covered how absence brings clarity, the strength of non-neediness, freedom from validation, and the intriguing power of not being controlled by others. Now, we'll build on that foundation with 5 more Stoic insights that offer deeper wisdom into why people often don't realize your value until you're gone. Part 6. Reassessment of priorities. Why is it that people often reassess their priorities only after they lose someone or something important? It's a strange pattern, yet it's something we've all experienced. In today's world, people are often so busy, so caught up in their routines, that they forget to appreciate what's right in front of them. They assume that the people they love, the support they receive, or the time they have will always be there. But as soon as they lose it, their priorities shift, and they start to see what truly mattered. Stoicism teaches us to periodically reassess our own lives. Marcus Aurelius would often reflect on his mortality, reminding himself that nothing in life is permanent. When we live with this mindset, we stop taking things for granted. So, in a sense, when you step away or withdraw, you're giving others the opportunity to see what they've been overlooking. Suddenly, they see the gap left by your absence, and their priorities begin to realign. Imagine if everyone practiced this regularly. If we all took a moment to step back and appreciate what we have before it's gone, we might find ourselves chasing less and cherishing more. And for those who do lose you, your absence will often be the wake-up call they needed to reevaluate their priorities. Part 7. Unbreakable boundaries. Let's consider the importance of boundaries. Have you ever noticed how, when you set strong, clear boundaries, people sometimes become more interested or respectful of your time? This happens because boundaries communicate value. When you make yourself overly available, others may assume they can have access to you whenever they want. But when you establish unbreakable boundaries, you're sending a message. Your time and energy are valuable. The Stoics understood this deeply. Epictetus emphasized the importance of knowing where your own control ends and where another's control begins. By setting clear boundaries, you define what you will and won't allow in your life, and people begin to respect that line. In today's society, where boundaries are often blurred, people tend to overstep. But when you create strong limits, others may chase you, realizing they don't have unrestricted access to your time. They come to understand that they have to earn it, and in that pursuit, they often discover a newfound respect for you, recognizing that you don't compromise your well-being just to meet their expectations. Part 8. Indifference invites curiosity. Now, here's something interesting. Have you ever noticed how people become more curious when you're indifferent? There's something intriguing about a person who isn't constantly seeking attention or approval. In our modern world, people tend to be overly expressive, sharing every thought and emotion on social media. But when someone holds back, when they don't reveal everything, it invites curiosity. The Stoics practiced this kind of indifference, not out of coldness, but as a way of preserving their own peace. They didn't feel the need to explain themselves to others or seek constant reassurance. They found strength in their own inner calm, and this self-assurance naturally drew others to them. Imagine how rare this quality is today. When you show genuine indifference to the opinions and attention of others, you create a sense of mystery. People want to know what makes you so centered, so calm. And in this search for answers, they often begin to chase after you, hoping to understand or experience that inner peace for themselves. Part 9. Absence reveals the impact. Why is it that people only seem to notice your impact once you're gone? This is a pattern we see over and over in relationships, friendships, and even professional settings. While you're present, people might not recognize the little ways you contribute, support, or enhance their lives. But when you step away, those contributions become glaringly obvious. In Stoicism, there's a concept called sympathia, which is the interconnectedness of all things. Stoics believe that our actions, no matter how small, have an impact on the world around us. When you're a constant part of someone's life, they may not notice the subtle ways you uplift, encourage, or support them. But as soon as you're gone, they feel the void. In today's busy world, people often overlook those subtle impacts. But when you step back, others are left to realize how much you meant to them. They start to notice the little things they took for granted, and this realization can often make them pursue you with newfound appreciation and respect. It's almost as if absence creates a mirror, reflecting back the importance of what they had and lost. Part 10. Self-respect attracts respect. Now let's discuss one of the most powerful aspects of Stoic wisdom: self-respect. Have you ever noticed how people seem to respect you more when you respect yourself? In a society that often rewards conformity and people-pleasing, genuine self-respect can be rare and therefore highly attractive. The Stoics believed that self-respect was foundational to a fulfilling life. Epictetus taught that we should never compromise our integrity or principles just to win the favor of others. When you truly respect yourself, you create a natural boundary that others are drawn to honor. They recognize that you value yourself too much to accept anything less than what you deserve. In today's world, where self-worth is sometimes measured by external factors like status or popularity, self-respect stands out. It's magnetic. When people sense that you won't lower your standards just to gain their approval, they often find themselves admiring you even more. And if they've lost access to you because of your self-respect, they might chase you, hoping to regain the connection they once had. So, what have we learned from these ideas? In a world that often encourages us to seek approval, to blend in, or to chase what we think we need, Stoicism offers a different path. It tells us to build inner strength, to set boundaries, to cherish what we have, and to respect ourselves enough not to compromise our values. When we live by these principles, we create a kind of presence that others begin to notice, especially in our absence. People often only recognize your true worth when you're no longer available. But by that time, you will have found a sense of fulfillment and peace that no one else can take away. So as you move forward, remember these Stoic lessons. Don't wait for others to chase you to feel validated. Instead, cherish what you have, set clear boundaries, cultivate inner peace, and respect yourself deeply. If others only realize your worth after they've lost you, then let it be a lesson for them. A reminder that true value often lies beyond what the eye can see. Live with the wisdom to know your worth, the strength to stand alone, and the courage to walk away from anything that doesn't honor the person you are. And in doing so, you'll find that you're no longer the one doing the chasing. Instead, you become the person others can't help but chase, drawn by the strength, peace, and authenticity that only true self-respect and inner wisdom can create. Now, continuing our journey through Stoic wisdom, let's dive into the final part of our exploration on why people chase after what they lose. So far, we've seen how absence reveals true value, how self-respect and boundaries attract others, and how inner peace and non-neediness make us compelling. Now let's examine 5 more Stoic principles that deepen our understanding of why people only realize what they had once it's no longer there. Part 11. Emotional control is magnetic. Have you ever noticed how people are drawn to those who remain calm under pressure? Think of the people you know who handle challenges without losing their balance. Don't they stand out as someone strong and dependable? Emotional control has a magnetic quality because, in a world where most people react impulsively, calmness is rare and powerful. The Stoics believed that controlling our emotions is a key to a peaceful life. They taught that while we can't control what happens to us, we can always control how we respond. This is where true strength lies, not in overpowering others, but in mastering ourselves. Marcus Aurelius wrote about treating everything in life with serenity and balance, knowing that calm responses are often the most effective. In today's world, where emotions are constantly heightened by social media and stressful routines, this calm strength stands out. When people realize they can't easily sway you with emotional ups and downs, they respect you more, and this often makes them want to be around you even more. They see someone who's steady, someone who brings peace instead of chaos, and they're drawn to that energy. When you walk away, they often chase, hoping to experience the calm and balance you embody. Part 12. The freedom of letting go. Letting go is one of the hardest yet most liberating things we can do. But have you noticed how letting go of someone or something often makes others want you more? There's something incredibly powerful in walking away without anger, resentment, or regret. The Stoics encouraged this kind of detachment, teaching that holding on to things outside our control leads only to suffering. Epictetus advised that we should accept life as it is, and not cling to what isn't meant for us. By letting go, we free ourselves from the pain of expectations and allow ourselves to live more fully in the present. In today's world, where holding on tightly to relationships and material things is common, letting go signals a sense of freedom and self-assurance. When you let go with grace, others are often left wondering why they didn't appreciate you sooner. They may even chase you, hoping to regain the connection they realized they lost. By letting go, you show that your happiness isn't tied to anyone else's approval or presence, and this independence can make others recognize your worth. Part 13. Self-sufficiency draws attention. Imagine this. How would your relationships change if you genuinely needed nothing from anyone? Not in a closed-off way, but in a self-sufficient, fulfilled way. Most of us rely on others to fulfill certain emotional or practical needs, but what if you could provide those for yourself? There's something very attractive about a person who is whole and complete on their own. The Stoics believed in cultivating self-sufficiency, an inner strength that doesn't depend on external circumstances or people. They taught that true freedom comes when we rely on ourselves for happiness and purpose, not on others. Epictetus would often remind his students to focus on what is within their control, mainly their own thoughts, actions, and attitudes, because this is where true strength is found. In today's world, self-sufficiency is a rare quality. People are used to seeing dependency and attachment in relationships, so when they encounter someone who genuinely doesn't rely on others to feel fulfilled, it's like a breath of fresh air. They're drawn to that independence, and often, they chase after it because they want to understand the source of your contentment. Ironically, it's this very self-sufficiency that makes people want to be part of your life. Part 14. The illusion of permanence. Why do we often assume that what we have will last forever? Whether it's relationships, success, or health, we tend to think that good things will stay. But Stoic philosophy reminds us that nothing in life is permanent. People may not consciously think about this, but they act as if things will always be there, often taking them for granted until they're gone. Marcus Aurelius frequently meditated on the fleeting nature of everything, reminding himself that life is short and unpredictable. By doing this, he trained himself to appreciate what he had without assuming it would always be there. He understood that the illusion of permanence is what often blinds us to the value of things in the present. In modern life, this assumption of permanence can make people take others for granted. But when you walk away, when you make it clear that you won't always be available, people are often struck by the reality that nothing is guaranteed. This realization can trigger a strong response, making them chase after you in an attempt to regain what they thought was permanent. The loss of something that seems secure can be a powerful motivator, as people scramble to hold on to what they've lost. Part 15. Absence creates reflection. Finally, let's talk about the power of absence as a tool for reflection. Have you ever noticed how, when someone important is no longer in your life, you start reflecting on what they meant to you? It's often only in their absence that we realize the full impact they had. Stoicism teaches us that reflection is a key component of wisdom, and absence can be a mirror that shows people the things they were once blind to. Seneca, the Stoic philosopher, believed that life should be constantly examined. By reflecting on our actions, relationships, and values, we gain insight into what truly matters. But this kind of reflection often happens only when something or someone is no longer there, forcing us to confront what we may have overlooked. In our busy world, where reflection is often rushed or neglected, absence becomes a powerful teacher. When you remove yourself from someone's life, you give them the space to truly see what they've lost. In that reflection, they may start to chase you, driven by a newfound understanding of your worth and the realization of what they failed to appreciate. They come to understand that your presence had a deeper value than they initially recognized, and it's this reflection that often fuels their desire to reconnect. So, as we bring this journey through Stoic wisdom to a close, what can we take from these ideas? In a world that constantly urges us to seek external validation, cling to attachments, and assume things are permanent, Stoicism offers a powerful alternative. It teaches us to find inner peace, to set healthy boundaries, and to let go of what we can't control. It shows us that our worth doesn't depend on others recognizing it, and that sometimes the greatest impact we can make is through our absence. When you embody these principles, you'll find that people start to value you not because you demand it, but because your strength, self-respect, and calm independence make it impossible for them to ignore. If people only start chasing after they've lost you, let it be a reflection on what they failed to see when you were there, not on your own worth. And let their chase be a reminder that true appreciation often comes too late. Thank you.